Do dogs have genetic personality types? Are temperament tests accurate, or are they just sort of a marketing gimmick? Isn't it nature, or is it really nurture? Is it all in how they're raised? We're going to answer all of these questions right now in this video. Hi, welcome to Eden Dog, where we're bringing out the best in our very best friends. My name is Annette Wade, and I'm here to coach you on your rewarding journey of dog ownership. Well, before we get into this video and answering our questions, I'd like to ask you to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Let me know if you'd like more like them, and share this video with any dog lovers you might know. If you're new to this channel and you are a big dog person, like videos on tutorials, how-tos, training, grooming, nutrition, health, pretty much anything dog you can think of, this would be the channel for you. So consider subscribing and joining our pack. And also, if you aren't subscribed, please do consider doing that, because it does let YouTube know that this channel is important to some people and that we are worth keeping on the platform. So consider hitting that big red button for me and subscribing. And if you do turn on the little bell, just click the bell-shaped button. That'll turn on notifications. Do dogs have a genetic personality type? There is a pretty common misconception that it's all in how they're raised, and that is not true. Genetic factors absolutely make a difference. Genetics is why we have herding dogs that herd and guard dogs that guard, different breeds that are bred specifically to have different drives and different types of psychology. So there is definitely a genetic component to temperament. Personality types are pretty specific. A dog is born with certain personality traits, and for better or worse, this is what the dog has. Once they reach maturity, the neuroplasticity of the brain really decreases significantly, and their ability to sort of change their personality type is significantly limited by that age. So you have a really huge window to shape that personality. Now, training, socialization, being raised in their environment, that is going to make a massive difference. So just stating that this dog has this particular temperament does not mean that that is for sure who the dog will be. It is absolutely like giving you potter's clay, and you are going to have to be responsible for shaping and coaching and molding that raw potential into being the best that it can be, which is what we're doing on this channel. So, you know, stick around. So are temperament tests accurate, or are these really just sort of a marketing gimmick? I know that I've had people before tell me that they didn't really think that these temperament tests or evaluations were really worth anything. And then she had told me later on that she was absolutely surprised when everything that I had said about her puppy did turn out to be true, that she saw this over the weeks that she had the puppy home, and she was really very surprised. And then when talking to, you know, other owners, they really had the same experience. Temperament tests really are very capable of assessing basic traits within a dog. Dog psychology, canine psychology, is actually extremely similar to human psychology. While we have obviously a lot more consciousness and very complex thought processes, and dogs do not, they really do have many of the same functions in their brain. Dogs really have the same kind of social structure that human beings have. They do not live in a dominance hierarchy. That is a myth. I know a lot of people still think that, but that's not actually true. Dogs really live in more of a family structure, the same way that human beings do. They will have their family of humans, generally speaking, as they're domesticated, and they may have other dogs in there. If they were to live in the wild, they would really have more like loose associations. Stray dogs do not live in packs. They actually just sort of have loose associations. Wolves in the wild live in family groups where the female and the male are, they may be the dominant, but that's because they're the parents. In the same way that you might be dominant over your children, but you don't actually dominate your children. You just lead them as parents. So that's another reason why I often call training puppy parenting, because it really is very much like raising a child. Your dog is your family member. He's not somebody that you need to dominate or be domineering over. Are temperament tests accurate? During the course of your dog's life, he or she will really have two sort of miniature awakenings in their mental growth. These occur between the ages of 8 and 12 weeks, which is often called the first fear imprint period. I really don't think that this is so much a fear imprint period. In my experience, it's more like their consciousness sort of has this broadening, and it can happen kind of rapidly, which sometimes can cause a little bit of fear or funny behavior. They definitely seem to have their eyes kind of opened up. And also between 8 and 12 weeks tends to be when they go to new homes. So it's definitely one of the times in their lives that they really look at the world with new eyes. They're realizing that the world is a lot bigger than they thought it was. They're leaving their family and everything is sort of changing. So it's an opportunity for them to grow and adapt, and you're definitely going to see a blossoming of who they are during this time period. It's also a very sensitive time period for training, and is the time period for you to be very careful in how you raise your dog and how you bond. The second sort of awakening or fear imprint period that your dog is going to go through is at puberty, and that is absolutely being triggered by physical situations. Your dog is going to suddenly have an influx of new hormones, new thoughts, new ideas, and again, a serious maturing of the mind is beginning to take place. And so during this time, your dog may act a little bit differently than normal, and also will sort of understand things in a new and different way as they are really making the leap from, baby or childhood from a dog through adolescence and then into adulthood, where they will have a more mature brain and understanding of things in the world. That time will be actually a very critical time for you to shape what you appreciate in your dog and bring that out, as well as dealing with or helping the downside aspects of your dog's particular temperament. So again, while we might have tendencies for certain things in the same way that human beings have tendencies for certain traits, it's not as cut and dry as putting them into this little box and saying, okay, you're over here, you're like this, and you're over here, you're like this. So I don't want you to think that that's what we're doing. This is purely just to give sort of a nice idea of what type of dog is going to fit into what type of situation better, or lean more toward it, or what dogs might be more well adapted to learning certain things than others. As far as it being a marketing gimmick, there are always marketing gimmicks. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. There are breeders that you can tell they're very serious about what they do. This isn't something where they're just churning out puppies to make money. This is something that they're doing to improve the actual breed of dog that they are passionate about. When those types of breeders have temperament tests or are evaluating animals for very specific purposes, then those are the breeders you're going to know what they're talking about. Many breeders really breed for show, and so temperament isn't really as huge of an issue or concern to them. They're really more evaluating the bone structure, just the overall looks of the dog. Working dog breeders are more likely to really focus on temperament, and there doesn't seem to be as big of a drive in the companion animal market to temperament test. Whether or not the test itself is accurate depends on the test itself, who is performing the test, and whether or not they're objectively or subjectively answering the evaluation question. I actually developed a temperament test which measures the different personality traits that a dog has, as well as 2 other factors in what sort of makes a dog kind of a whole, well-rounded animal. This is the most accurate test that's out there. A lot of tests right now just check on what's called reactivity, which is sort of whether or not a dog responds in fear or in aggression. But my test is actually going to cover personality traits that dogs show. My temperament test I developed on my own. This was over 25 years of understanding dog behavior, involving a lot of psychology, understanding dogs, their different developmental stages, personality traits, and 10 years of breeding. Temperament being the most important thing to me. My particular temperament test is the only one like it out there. I've never seen anybody run a personality test like this on their puppies before. Interestingly enough, actually, I know a lot of breeders that know their puppies. Man, they watch these puppies and they know what puppy is what. And they just have a real gift for knowing their puppies and placing them. And this was something that I sort of just was doing naturally by knowing the puppies, by playing with them and working with them. All I did was I sort of paid attention to why I was getting these ideas about what puppy was what. And I started breaking it down based on the psychology. And that's how I sort of, I guess, reverse engineered how to really run more of an objective exam on the puppies. There's really so many factors that go into it. Essentially, the bottom line is if you trust your breeder, then you can trust the temperament test results. And if you feel like your breeder is just somebody that's selling puppies to make a living and they aren't really very heavily invested into the breed itself and what they're crafting, if to them it's sort of a job and not kind of an art or a passion, then you may, you know, not be able to really rely as much on those temperament tests. And in those sort of situations, there are temperament tests that you can perform on your own. Although I personally think that the best thing you can do is either bring a dog trainer with you and observe the litter for about an hour, or learn about dog behavior and observe the puppies yourself while they interact with each other, and that'll help give you an idea about what puppy is what. Also, I want to note that just like human beings, you really can't put any dogs into neat little boxes. I mean, we really are all unique individuals. We have our own unique traits, and your dog isn't going to be any different. Anytime I give these kinds of temperament evaluations, please do not take this as this hard and fast rules. Your dog absolutely is going to be like this. Dogs aren't robots. They are living creatures. They think, they feel, and they're definitely have their own, I don't know, special uniqueness that is individual to each one of them. I mean, if you've ever owned multiple dogs, you'll know that every single one is really their own, I guess, little person, right? They have their own little soul that makes them who they are. Okay, so I hope that answered some of the questions that you have and didn't give you a whole lot of new questions, but that will give you a pretty good idea of a starting point. It's definitely so much more than just, you know, numbers and levels. This is just supposed to help you pick a puppy that you think is going to fit in. Okay guys, so that's it for this video, and if you did enjoy this video, if it was helpful, please give me a thumbs up. That helps me out, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. All right guys, see you in the next one.